So, my question today is about the search for peace. Do you have that going on in your life right now? Are you searching for peace somewhere, somehow? Now, I think the place I want to start with this today is some awareness that you're even searching for peace, because you might not even know that you are. I don't think I did. I don't think I realized that for most of my life I was searching for peace. Peace of mind, just to feel okay. Perhaps we might call it mental well-being. And for each one of us, that might look slightly differently, and perhaps we won't use the word peace. Perhaps we might use something else. But fundamentally, human beings are driven by their feelings. They're driven by the desire to feel a certain way. It's such a strong driver. It really is. And it's probably been there for a very, very long time for us human beings. So what might that look like? Well, maybe it's helpful to just tell my story about how that looked for me. I think it was there pretty much most of my life, the search for peace. I just wanted to feel okay about myself, I think that's what form it took for me. This sense of wanting to feel good enough, perhaps, or to have achieved enough, to have done enough in the world. And that came out in my career. So maybe you can relate to that. When I pursued my career with great vigor, to the point where, I it's not funny really, but I took a promotion. I was applying for promotions while I was on my second maternity leave. So I had a 2-year-old and a baby, and I was trying to get promotion. I'd moved house, so a job move was probably required just to be closer to the children. But I could have taken a sideways move, but I didn't. I took a promotion. And every time I did that, I thought the peace would be there. And when I'm saying I thought the peace would be there, that's not how I wouldn't have said, I'm going to make this career move so that I can feel peaceful. I wouldn't have at all articulated like that back then. But now I obviously see it through a different lens, which is me interpreting the past, which is not perhaps very accurate, but that's the sense of it that I have right now. So that went on and on and on until I reached the top of the ladder in my particular career, and there was not really anywhere else to go. And the feeling of peace wasn't there. That the feeling of fulfillment, maybe that's a word I might have used and probably still would use now. That just wasn't there. It just didn't materialize. I think I thought it would be like, golden ticker tape and fireworks going off, and suddenly I'd be in this wonderful place, and it just didn't work that way. And then because of that, I had this realization, it wasn't in my career. There was going to be no finding a sense of okayness. So then I was, I'd really since split from my husband. So I thought, well, maybe I need to fill the relationship gap now. I'll feel better if I do that. Or maybe I need to go out more. Maybe I need to get really, really good at dancing salsa. And I went on and on and on until I burnt out. And I still probably, after that, wouldn't have quite understood it in the way I do now, that all of that, driving all of that was, I just want to connect to my mental well-being. I just want to feel okay. Now, the reason this search is utterly futile and often ends in burnout or being uncomfortably attached to particular substances or food or activities of a particular kind is because it's a misunderstanding about where peace of mind can be found. If we think that the outside world can resolve our feelings, either by things stopping being how they are or things being different to how they are, things starting perhaps, having a new thing, then we will continue to search that way in the outside world. And I fundamentally think that this misunderstanding about where peace lies is underpinning all the behaviour in the world that we look at and go, "Ooh, that's a bit, that's not very pleasant." People hurting each other, people hurting themselves by, what they're eating and how they're looking after themselves, and overworking, all the overs, all the overeating, the overworking, overthinking, all of that, trying to find our mental well-being there. All the things that people do that are abhorrent to each other and each other's children and each other's countries. And it's bizarre to think that the dropping of a bomb, the hurting of another human being, is in order to find peace. But if it looks like that situation is what's taking away our peace, then the only thing that makes sense then is the resolution of that situation in order to get our peace back. So it's always in this misunderstanding that our feelings come from out there when they don't. How we feel in any moment is really a product of what we're thinking about. It really is, like, it's what we're believing in the moment. That's what creates our discomfort. That's what creates anxiety. That's what creates stress. That's what creates all those uncomfortable feelings, the ones that we're trying to get rid of by doing all these things out there. Now, what I've described so far has been some, I guess you would call them, negative behaviours for human beings. But unfortunately, this misunderstanding has leaked out into the world of self-development. Well, perhaps that's where it came from. I don't know, but it's a little bit noisier here today because I'm not at home. I'm somewhere else. I'm in London, so it's a little noisier than normal. Keep hearing sirens. I don't know. Hopefully you can't hear them. Anyway, back to the subject. So the self-development industry has created, in all its therapies and all its tools and all its techniques and all its different strategies and repetitious things you can do, and journaling, and I mean just an endless list of things, it has created an idea, still perpetuating an idea, that I can find my well-being in the outside world. And after I burnt out, that's kind of where I got caught up next. I got caught up in The Miracle Morning. That was one of my main things. I never actually read the book. Ironically, maybe I should have done. But I did the things. I did the 6 things that Hal Elrod recommends us to do every day. And I did them like my life depended on them. But because this driver of well-being is so strong, it looked like my life did depend on them. It really did. It looked like I needed to do all these things in order to be okay. So that's what I did every day. The gratitude journal, the meditation, the whatever else you had to do. Look at your vision board, and I still do some exercise every day. I actually still meditate because I like it. It's just a nice way to start the day. It's not got that same grasping feeling to it. Now, I am not saying not to do all the things that you like doing, that you enjoy, that bring joy into your morning. Like for me, just listening to a little meditation on Insight Timer is a nice, joyful way to start the day. However, if there is the grasping side of that, this sense that I must do this in order to be okay, in order to feel okay, in order to get through my day, I have to do these things. That's a different kettle of fish. That is a completely different thing that we're talking about, because what we're talking about then is just a misunderstanding. And it's like, I love the diamond metaphor, which I first heard from Michael Neal. I don't know who he actually invented it, but this idea of, there's the diamond and it's covered in layers of thinking, and layers of things and layers of ideas and layers of beliefs. And then self-development is like another layer on top of that when we're going to look for our well-being. And we're getting further away from the diamond. The diamond is the truth of us. And I'm going to be exploring this in another video, I think, later this week. And perhaps in that one, I'll be exploring more about the truth of where this peace that we're looking for really is, because it's somewhere that perhaps we don't think to look. So the truth, the main thing, the main truth from this video is that your feelings don't come from out there. Feelings are not a product of circumstances, they're a product of what you're thinking about in the moment. And something magical starts to happen when you start to see that on a daily basis. So I hope that's been helpful. I will be here again later in the week. Take care. Lots of love.